Welcome back to the Beach Bum Bookworm. I am Tiffany. I'm so glad y'all found me again today. The channel's all about cozy mysteries and romance books. And today I'm doing the mid-year freakout tag. I love this. I love with the middle of the year freakout tag, the end of the year. I love seeing people's best, their favorites, their most anticipated, all of those things. So now I can't believe we're halfway through the year. Can y'all believe that? It's mind-boggling. Let's go. We're talking mid-year freakout tag in 3, 2, 1, go. Please remember to hit the like, notification, subscription. The like helps us in the algorithm. The notification tells you when I put out new videos each and every week so you don't miss anything. And the subscription keeps my channel growing, which I can't thank you enough for because I'm having the best time. Okay, so I took out some questions. Why? Because I didn't want to answer them. I can't do the what was your worst or some of those questions. I have no problem saying I didn't like a book or this book wasn't for me, but I don't want to feel like I'm just tearing down a book to tear down a book because I feel like somebody worked very hard on it. And although it's not for me, there is an audience for it. So I will answer the most disappointed. That doesn't bother me. But when it's just like, what's your worst or, like rants on a book or trash on a book, I'm not interested in doing that because I want my channel to be about telling you about the books that I love. Okay. So I took out some of those. I also took out some of the stuff about the goals for the channel. So I just, one, I think that I haven't really thought through for the middle of the year, but two, I don't have any goals. That for the channel. And I don't mean that like, oh gosh, I just mean like, I'm just here to have fun. So like, I'm not worried about whether this happens or whether this happens. I just want to tell you about books and talk about books. That's it. That's why I'm here. So, okay. Speaking of that, let's get to number 1. It says, how is your reading gone? How is your reading? That's my rewind button, just so you know. Welcome to the channel. How has your reading year gone so far? I'm sorry if you just heard my laundry click on. I don't know if this is a secret, but I do laundry. But my husband left and he opened the doors to the laundry room to leave and it didn't get shut. So I apologize if you can hear that, but oh, there, see, it clicked off. You're fine. Okay. How has your reading year gone so far? My reading year's been amazing. It's been amazing. I found some great new first authors, new books, new series. It's been wonderful. What is the best book you've read so far this year? So I can't answer with 1, but I can answer with 3. And this is probably, it's still hard for 3. So I have 2 cozies and then I have a romance. So that doesn't really count as like a third. It's just one of each because I read both, right? And they're not near the same genre. So my first one is Resort to Murder right here. This is by Annie McEwen. This is about Emmy and she goes home to the Northwoods, Wisconsin, to her family's little resort there. And there is a bigger company trying to buy out the smaller resorts and make like one big chain, massive resort. And her family has no interest in selling, and the developer ends up dead. And Emmy has to figure out what's going on. It has the best scenery, the location, the friends in this were absolutely so relatable. It felt like, even though Emmy had been gone for a while, that they just picked up right where they left off. And I felt like that was really relatable because if I went home, my high school friends and we act like nothing's passed. No time has passed. And there were times where she was like, hey, would you help me with it? And they're like, yes. And then she's like, well, I haven't even asked yet. You just agreed to help, locate a murder. And they're like, that's okay. We'll do it for you. I just loved them so much. I also love the dogs. There's everything about this. And I love Wisconsin for a cozy setting. And I know that we're eventually going to get like this winter. Oh, it is one of my favorites. Gonna be one of my favorites of the year. The second one is another cozy mystery. It is A Disguise to Die For. This is by Diane Valier. I loved everything about this book. I gave it 5 cups of coffee. It was a new to me series. It was on my 24 to start in 2024. And I'm sad I didn't start it sooner. And I'm really sad it only went 3 books. I've only read the first one, but still, I'm already just like already feeling like, oh, I don't want the series to end. And I've only read the first one. So I can't think of our main character's name. Sorry, I did not write it down, but her family owns a costume shop. Her mother passed away when she was very, very young. I think actually at birth. And so she's always lived with her dad, and she's grown up in the costume shop. And he tells her when she's like 18, she says, oh, I really want to work here forever. He's like, I really want you to go and experience the world and make sure that this is the choice you actually want. And it's not just because this is the only thing you know. So she moves and she's living in Vegas, which is about an hour from where the city or the little town that they live in with the costume shop, which I've never read a Nevada cozy before. I don't think. I can't swear to that, but I really don't think I've read any Nevada cozies. So that was really fun. And in Vegas, she works at a casino. She also was a magician's assistant, which I find amazing. So she's come back because her dad had a heart attack. So she's helping him out with the shop, and she really wants to be there. She didn't really need to explore the world. Really, she wants the costume shop. She dresses every day in a different costume. I love her so much. I love her so much. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. So there's like a group of rich kids in town, and they're all trying to outdo each other with parties. And one of them comes in and says, I need a bunch of costumes for like the next day for like a murder mystery event. And they're like, we can't do that. And he like slams down like $20,000 in cash. And he's like, oh, you can. And he ends up dead. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on. She's trying to make sure that her dad rests because he's run off to Area 51 to explore and get more alien stuff for the costume shop. It's just hysterical. It was just, anything with costumes and I'm there. So it was a blast. My other favorite is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I'm going to put it right here. This was the first in the Brutal Birthright series. I've liked them all. But this one, the two of them when they were enemies just cracked me up. They were enemies, like they were actively trying to murder one another. And, but yet by the end of the book, sometimes when they're that kind of enemies, I'm like, you can't convince me that these people are in love. And she was able to do it. And I think that's remarkable. I love those two characters. I've seen their growth in the relationship since because they're in every other book. And I loved it so much. It was pretty funny. Okay. So number 3, what is the best book you've reread so far in 2024? I do not do a lot of rereads. However, we are doing a read along of the Georgia Peach series. I think it's called Georgia Peach. The author is Susan Furlong. There's 2 Peach series, so I can't remember what the name of this one's called. And the first book we are getting ready to discuss, so I kind of went through and scanned it. I didn't reread. I scanned it enough to remember what had happened, but I'm not a big rereader. There's too many new books I want to read. I can't just reread. Number 4, what is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024? So this one was hard for me because I read nothing but series. So does a sequel have to be number 2? I don't know, but I went with a number 2 just because, I didn't want to cheat, but being a series reader, it was hard for me because I'm like, oh, number 9 in this series was my favorite, but I went with number 2 in a series, and it's Baking Spirits Bright by Sarah Fox. This series is really fun. It's her True Confectioner series, and our main character, I believe her name is Becca. I did not write down any of the names. I apologize, but I think her name is Becca. She works for her family's True Confectioner shop. This takes place in Large Haven, Vermont, which is the North America. Sorry, I missed that. The Venice of North America. I messed that up. You get it. You get me. You get me. Okay. The Venice of North America. There are canals, there are gondolas. It's amazing. And Vermont is one of my favorite places for a cozy. I am so shocked that more series don't take place in Vermont. Anyways, so she works at her family's confectionery shop, and there's going to be a baking competition for the holidays, and one of the entries ends up dead, and she immediately starts like having somebody like trying to sabotage her. Somebody threw her down the stairs, like all sorts of things. So she knows that like they don't want her looking for what is going on. It is absolutely fantastic. I loved the first one. I really loved the second one. I liked it better than the first one. And I think partly because it was Christmas, because holiday cozies are wonderful. The cover on it, it was so cozy. That's it. It was so cozy. Loved it. Number 5, what is a new release you haven't read but want to? So that would be Murder Buys a One-Way Ticket by Laura Levine. I'll put it right here. It is, I think, the 20th book in the Jane Austen series. It came out on the 20th, and I haven't read it yet. I know, it's the 23rd. How have I not read it? No, I'm kidding. I'm in the middle of so many books and I need to read so many before I get to it. But that is one I'm highly anticipating. The Women by Kristen Hanna. And then for romance, I'm anticipating this book that I just randomly saw on Hoopla. It's called Finding Mr. Right. Right spelled like you write. This is by Kelly Armstrong. It says our main character is an author and had been sending out her manuscript and had been getting no, and declines and all that. And so she decides, I'm going to send it out under a man's name just to see what happens. And she gets a bite and her book becomes a bestseller. Well, she has to hire somebody who can stand up as her male author pseudonym. And her book must be about like wilderness or like survival type of stuff. And so she hires this man who looks like really big and bulky and kind of lumberjack. And he's got a secret. His secret is that he's an accountant and he's never done any wilderness stuff. And they have to go on tour together for this book. And I just think it sounds fantastic. I love books about books. I just think it sounds great. Next up, what is the biggest surprise of the year so far? So I went with Death Among the Doilies by Molly Cox Bryan and A Disguise to Die For by Diane Valier, which is the one I talked about being one of my favorites. Both of these are new series to me. And the reason I was so surprised is because how are they not more popular? Both of them, book one was absolutely amazing. So Death Among the Doilies, I kind of talked about A Disguise to Die For. Death Among the Doilies, our main character was a counselor at a women's shelter. And she decides to move in a different direction and open up like a craft retreat. She kind of realizes that it's just another way, a different way of helping people. And so she's doing her first retreat. Her best friend was someone she met who was in a DV relationship. She's gotten out of it. And during the first retreat, there was a murder that had already happened to the town librarian. And our main character's best friend's fingerprints come back associated with the murder. And they're like, there's no way. And there's stuff about her past and her past relationship that she really doesn't want to come out. So the main character is really trying to figure out what's going on. She's trying to also continue to have the first retreat be a success. And it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to get to more of those. What is your biggest disappointment of the year so far? So I just went with a series. instead of a particular book. I mean, it was a particular book in this series that made me not continue. So it was the third book in the Charlotte Gibson series. I think it's called Beachside Bullet by Jasmine Webb. And I was so disappointed because I gave book 1 5 stars. I gave book 2 5 stars. And this one, I didn't finish it. And it wasn't a plot. It wasn't a writing. It was just some of the material was really disappointing and not cozy and just not for me. This series is very popular. So if you haven't tried it and you still want to, by far, every book has an audience, and this one has a big audience. So our main character, Charlotte, she, in book 1, it's already happened, but she witnessed it. So sorry. She's working at a jewelry store, and the jewelry store gets robbed, and in the robbery, she fights back and ends up killing the man in self-defense. And this is not a spoiler. I think it's already happened when the book started. And anyways, the guy was associated with the mob, and she was in Seattle. So she lived in Seattle and worked at this jewelry store. And she's starting to feel like she's being followed and this, that. And then she gets a finger in the mail, and she's like, okay, I'm out. And I'm like, yeah. So she kind of goes into hiding. Well, she's from Hawaii. Her mother still lives in Hawaii. So she goes there to hide out. Like, yeah, that's a stretch. I mean, like what am I looking for? That's a hardship, having to go to Hawaii to hide out. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. So, that's what this series is about. Like I said, I loved books 1 and 2. The third one just had content that is just not for me, and I don't think belongs in cozies. But again, this series is wildly popular, so there is definitely an audience for it. And if you love it, I'm happy for you. Next up is, who is your new favorite author, new to you or debut? And I'm going with Paula Charles, because I have another one. So for Cozy Mysteries, I'm going with Paula Charles because she had the Hammerson Homicide, and I gave it 5 cups of coffee. I absolutely loved it. It's the first book in the Hometown Hardware Store. I'm going to put it right here, Hammerson Homicide. And this features Dawn, and she and her husband ran a hardware store together. He has passed away, and she's still running the hardware store. And her and another business share a bathroom. So a business here and a business here, and the bathroom's kind of in the middle. And so the town is trying to save this old building and restore it to an old movie theater. And this developer wants to tear it down, I think put like a hotel or something like there. And he ends up dead, and he is found in that bathroom that they share. And it is so good. There's just the lightest sprinkling of paranormal, and I absolutely loved it. I loved that the men in town came and had coffee there like it was a coffee shop, because, again, that feels very relatable to very small towns. I know businesses in my hometown where people gather for coffee, and it is not a coffee shop, not even a restaurant or anything. They just, that's where they gather in the morning. And so I loved that they did that at the hardware store. It was just so fantastic. As Jana Rawlings, she has an escape goat. I'm going to put it right here. This book was so good. It's book 1 in the Zen Goat series. This is a goat yoga cozy. And oh my gosh. So our main character, she eventually wants to be like doing yoga on the beach in a tropical location. But for right now, she has been offered the chance to start a goat yoga retreat at her great aunt and uncle's farm in New Hampshire, which I don't know if I read any New Hampshire cozies. So that gave me a New Hampshire for my U.S. cozy road trip, which I'm very excited about. So her great aunt and uncle are very new to her. She grew up in a divorced family, and I don't remember which side of the family it is, but she didn't have a lot of contact with that side, so she didn't know them, and she's kind of found them through like researching her family and stuff. And so they've invited her to stay there. They are so sweet. They're in their late 80s. I love them so much. Her aunt and uncle, I cannot think of their names. And at the first retreat for her goat yoga business, a bunch of mean girls show up. So one of them is a big social influencer, and her friends, although I say friends very loosely, and they're, what you would expect. They're snotty and snooty and all of those things. And one of them ends up dead, and then that's all I'm going to say. Because I was going to say something else, and then I don't know if that's a spoiler. So both of those together make Paula Charles my favorite new author of the year. For romance, I went with an author named Jolie Day. And I think the book that I read was My Real Fake Husband. My Real Fake. You'll see it up here. I think it's My Real Fake Husband. This was a random pick off Hoopla. Like, everything I was looking for, I couldn't find or something like that. And I was just getting annoyed. And so I was like, fine, audiobooks, Hoopla, romance. And I saw this book, and I love the fake dating trope. It's one of my favorite tropes. And so I was like, oh, I'll try it. I've never heard of this author. And it was a huge 5-star for me. It was very spicy. I'll put my spice scale up right here. And I would say it was ginger for sure. Yeah, it was spicy. I loved the fake dating aspect of this. I thought the banter, and she did it so well. And I can't wait to read more of Jolie Day. And I'd never heard of that author. So that is my new favorite author. Who is your newest fictional crush? So I went with Bishop, which is book 1 of the Arizona Vengeance series. This is, oh my gosh, I did not write down the author. I think it's Serena Bowen. I'll put it right here. I loved him so much. Of course, he's a professional hockey player, so hello. But he was like, he just had the best personality. I loved him so much. He was quirky and funny, and he was a lot of things outside of playing hockey, which I loved. And he just, I really loved his personality. I really loved, and I mean, again, he's a hockey player, so he's also, in shape and athletic and all those things that you would expect. But I think it was his humor that really got me. It was amazing. What book has made you cry so far this year? Okay, I didn't necessarily love this book. I do enjoy this series, but this particular book I had a lot of issues with, but it did make me cry. And it is Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling. I was crying pretty heavy in parts of this. It made me so sad. I'm going to get sad thinking about it. So let's move on. What is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? I have 2. I did not buy them. I do all digital, but I mostly do KU and library and Audible. I guess I buy books on Audible, of course. But anyways, alas, I have 2. One's a romance and one is a cozy mystery. So for romance, I have Fish Out of Water by Katie Ruggles. I think I gave this 3 cups of coffee. It was cute. The cover is amazing. I love the colors. I love everything about it. So our main character's sister goes missing and nobody thinks she's missing. They have like a code phrase, like how you say, you should make a code phrase for if something's in trouble that only one other person would know, or a passphrase or something like that. Well, the 2 of them, the sisters, had that. But it was the phrase was something like, tell mom I said hi. And everybody's like, all she said was tell mom to say hi. But to them 2, neither of them have a relationship with their mom. One of them's mom is deceased and the other one is very horrible. And so neither of them have they have 2 separate moms. They're half sisters. And so that's kind of the joke, is tell mom I said hi, because they would never say that. And so she really knows that she's in trouble because she would never text that. It's their emergency phrase. And so she, the sister who sent the phrase that she's in trouble was like hiking in, I think Colorado, but in like the woods and, a very kind of dangerous hiking area if you're not good at hiking or don't know what you're doing. And so the sister is like, well, I gotta find her. And so she needs help. And there is a recluse cozy mystery writer that's male that lives in the community that everybody's like, that's who you need to help you. But they never will because they have their house booby trapped. You can't even like, they are like off. They are completely hands off to the world. And so she's like, no, I need his help. So he's going to help me. And she scales all the obstacles to his house. And she's like, you're going to help me. And he does. And it is their romance. The other one that is a cozy mystery is Resort to Murder. This is by Annie McEwen. I talked about it earlier, but the cover is one of my favorite cozy mystery covers in a long time. Everything about it screams cozy to me. I want to be there. I want to curl up in front of the chair, in front of the fireplace with the dog in my lap. All I want you to do is take the creepy man out of the window. Like, I get that out. I'm just kidding. Well, not really, but there you go. And the last one is, what are the books you need to read by the end of the year? Oh my gosh, there's too many to list. I still have my SAS list. I still have my 24 to start in 2024. I have books I want to add to both of those. Too many to list. Oh my gosh. I am going to tag some people, but if you want to do the tag, nobody tagged me. I just decided I'm going to be a rebel and just do it. And you should too. Everybody, of course, is welcome to do the tag. But the people that I want to see do the tag is Lee from Dark Roots Creations. Lee is amazing. Her channel, Dark Roots Creations, deserves way more love. Go check her out. Go subscribe to her. She is hysterical. Her vlogs are the best. She does have a little bit of a road rage issue. She knows this. She's, I think, working on it. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Lee. I absolutely love her. Go check her out. Go subscribe to her. She does a lot of tags, and she always is very good with her answers. So I definitely want to see her. Emily from Emily Reads, you are tagged. And Laura from Laura Reads, you are tagged. All right, everybody. Leave me a book emoji. I just feel like that's the, makes sense for this video. You can leave me anything you want. Give me a big thumbs up for this video. And until next time, may all your future reads be 5 stars. Bye, everybody.